Hello everyone, welcome to the Tech Podcast series. This is Lakshit Pant from Azure Developer Community, and today we are back again with another episode of the Tech Podcast series. And in this episode, we are going to engage with our industry leader Satendra Singh. He is the CTO of Propelld. Propelld enables the flexible financing solutions through multiple digital vertices and journey for all the learners pursuing education programs at multiple partner institutions. So we'll try to understand the idea and the thought process of the vetted founder, how he has been building his startup, and what are his thoughts about the education program and the entire fintech ecosystem. Just to kick off with the podcast of a quick introduction of Satendra Singh, if you could, sir, if you could introduce yourself first.
Yeah, hi. So thanks for inviting and giving me this opportunity to share on this podcast. So my name is Satendra Singh. I've been into the IT industry since last around 14, 15 years now, and I've got experience in a different domains, I would say, from manufacturing to travel industry to AI industry to now into the fintech industry. And being a part of that, like I've been a part of a lot of a startup journey from the beginning of my career. I had on my own successful exit also in kind of an AI space itself. And yeah, and then with Propel, like I've been involved around like six years now, and I've been the member of the team from the 0 days, along with the co-founders. I've been joined like as a very initial, like the fourth member, I would say, along. And since then, like I'm just being into this Propel ecosystem, helping and building this. Uh, I will not say just a fintech platform, but overall a platform that can democratize the education ecosystem itself.
So you have worked in, you have a pretty much diverse experience of working in multiple domains or maybe industries. I would like to know, where do you find which sector is the most exciting sector to work upon? Where do you find that synergy that this is something that one should work upon, right? Which is the best sector at present, considering present market situation? What do you think? Which is the best sector? Could not the best, but
See, I
industry.
would say, yeah, I would say, like, see, as any country grows, our focus is always there on different segments as we grow as a country, as we grow as an economy, and I think that is how India is also being growing, and we've seen like journey throughout. When I came, like it was something into e-commerce space, then we went into travel space, then we went into hospitality industry, then fintech also picked up as we grow strongly in the economy. And I think the current thing I think is more about the energy, and I think energy is going to be exciting field going further. Each and every places, I know a couple of my friends and all, like they've been started looking into the energy fields where even a small contribution towards it, like whether it's an agriculture, manufacturing, carbon footprint, anything, is basically going to be an exciting journey. And with the invention of the AI platform, better decisionings with more better precision devices that is now started coming up with the better data collections, with the better data real time analytics. I think we are at a stage where we need to start looking the way we are consuming our energy, and we mostly be moving into renewable sources of energy. And I think that's the future, and I think our focus should also be there as a next industry. And I think as a finance and fintech is going to be there as we are growing as an economy and we are moving from a developing country to a developed country. So definitely there is a lot of innovations, and we know with the UPI and all we have already proven globally ourselves. And I think with that kind of advantage, I would say, that we have right now, and we will definitely bring more innovations in this field. But at the
Right.
same time, as I mentioned, I think energy is the next thing that we should be all focusing.
Now, talking from from the propelled perspective, I would like to know, how do you see this landscape working in the of education system in the with the propelled? How does propelled view its the role in revolutionizing the entire finance within fintech and the education sector?
Yeah, so just a quick thing I'll tell you. So when Propel started, like there were no player as such who was actually purely on the education financing as such. Okay? Banks and all were there, but they were very traditional lenders. and very less specific, like either you go for a higher education, and that process is also very cumbersome. Without collateral lending, it was not possible. So when Propel, like a player, when they came in the market around 2016 with this proposal, the only idea was that how can we provide any assistance to the students who can, not based on their current financial situation or like current financial status, but rather on their future employability or the future repayment capability. That was the
Okay.
one big pointer, so that we can uplift those students also who are capable enough, and they should get the education done uh, to move to their next ladder and then can be success in their career. And because of the finance, I think a lot of people were not able to do it, and this is where the whole proposition from the Propelled came up. And from that point, our focus in the finance itself is primarily in the focus. We are not a player who is working in a very horizontal lending. We are very highly focused in education segment itself. And since last 6 years, we are only focusing on the education segment. We have touched upon all venues of education, whether it's upskilling market, whether it's online, offline market, coaching, test prep, vocational training, higher educations, all sort of education is wherever it is there, where we can be present to make those assistance provided in terms of a finance, so that students can get those education and change their life. So that's
Okay.
how we have been being primarily into this segment.
And with Inception, I would, I just wanted to know what your market audience looks like, what your target audience looks like, which exactly what kind of sector you are looking really targeting for. Like, is it the college students, or it's like the schooling students, or which industry, or maybe working professionals? So where this revolution happens.
See, I will say that in any country, like specifically in developing country or in general, like education is a very important part of
Right.
anyone's life. You know, it all starts from the school. Then you go to your tuitions or coachings for preparation for certain entrances, and then once you go to the college, after that, once you become a professional, and then you need to upskill yourself to excel in your career or in your professional journey. And once you go there, then possibly some sort of a further education, higher education, abroad education that you seek for. So I won't say that like very specific to anything. Our focus right now is that, as I mentioned, that we are very education focused. So we
Okay.
want to be present from your school days till your professional journey everywhere. And that's why our programs are being designed to target from the school to college to offline coaching institutions like JEE preparations, medical preparation, like if you know LN, Akash, all those places, with then coming to the online upskilling market where professionals like upgrad simply learns, and then moving to higher educations like MBA, BTech, all higher education colleges. And we are also trying to be in the abroad education. So I won't say that we are very specific. We are trying to be the topmost player in the education ecosystem and want to basically democratize this uh, ecosystem. So it's not very specific to any segment, yeah, but we want to be there in all the venues.
And that's a very fair choice, because education is the biggest sector one could ever imagine. Every sector with increase, or maybe maybe the expansion of every industry, every sector in here in India, there will be always on space for education sector, and there will be, it will always keep increasing and increasing, right
Yeah,
now.
more than that, I would say that the highest ROI that you can get in any sort of like thing is the education only.
Right, yeah,
Okay, so
absolutely.
that way I would say.
So, from a tech CTO perspective, how do you see the tech infrastructure and the digital financing solutions? So, if you could provide some, a deep dive into the tech stack, how this infrastructure of other backbone works for the Propelled in a financing solution, and what are the security matrices that you believe needs to be
Mhm.
maintained by any organization who are really looking forward to build fintech solutions.
Yeah, so coming to that, so basically, just to give you the context, so when I joined this ecosystem around 2016, I think you know that fintech and this edtech was kind of like a very initial inception period around that point. And the the idea which the co-founders came with me, and then we had a discussion on, it was not just only about the financing. It is all about how can we get into this ecosystem and then start generating a lot of value added services and value services, which can help students and institutions also grow, and then at the same time, like, um, gives the kind of thrust to all the students career, and at any point of time we are there as somewhere to help them out in, like, growing. So with that, like, the first thing that I came, so I started thinking that then, since I came from a background where we build large scale platforms, so I started thinking this as a one of the platforms. So we build this is like a complete platform in an education ecosystem, which has, like, players like institutes, banks, students, employers, all this kind. So it's being built with a platform thinking, and on top of that, like, what we did, like, we technically we followed a lot of design strategies and approaches so that this platform can become playable as well, like, so if I have to build any proposition just for the students, I can take that out, build product for them, and then quickly go to the market, fail fast and learn it, and then build something new. So we build this way. So on technicalities, so yes, it's a platform thinking based approach. Upon top of this, if I have to explicitly go into this technical jargons, it's all pure microservices. We call this as a domain driven designs. And on top of this, like, we are primarily running on pure AWS cloud agnostic design approach, not very cloud native design approach. I think there is a lot of debate on that, but we took that approach, and we follow polyglot approach in terms of programming paradigm itself. It's not like one programming tool can solve your all problems. So we
Right.
have very different strategies and approach when we write the piece of code that is doing a bank integration. Very different approach when we are building a service layer which is just giving you some sort of information. So that way we follow that sort of an approach. And on top of that, I would say that in terms of uh, so in terms of security and compliances, uh, so security, and I would say, is a very important aspect being into the fintech industry. So we ensure that our day-to-day work also make sure that basic set of security that we call OAuth top 10, or general set of securities that we understand, is being built as a part of the pipeline itself. So we have a complete CI/CD process that is being set up, which automatically includes a lot of security checks in the pipeline, so the developer doesn't have to worry about always. The system automatically tells them that, okay, these are vulnerabilities you need to make sure.
Okay.
Uh, Apart from that, I would say the platform is all event driven. We have a lot of we have also made sure that our data, which is very important for any organizations, is being well segregated. It's being well audited as well, and every data that gets into the system or gets out of the system should be audited very well. So those kind of things we have made it from very beginning. And all sorts of measures in terms of practices, in terms of, like, alerts, in terms of different policies that we need to establish, is in terms of governing the data, we have established very well. Just to give you one context, so we are now approaching towards an ISO 27001 compliant fintech organization. So from that perspective as well, we have implemented almost uh, all the policies that comes under, which talks about data governance, disaster recovery, and all those aspects are there. Yeah, so more or less that. So just to give you in a very nutshell, so we primarily work on microservices architecture. We are on AWS infrastructure services. We have variety of databases that we use for our purposes like MongoDB. We have a Cassandra also. We have MySQL DB, and we have like all the event-driven and messaging. And for the data churning, we are using Kafka. We are using RabbitMQ for that. So these are more or less technology. Front end wise, we use very contemporary React Native for a lot of our UI front. So that's how it's being configured right now.
Right. So now three questions, right, about three technologies that really present in the market and that has been a buzz in past 3 to 4 years, right? First would be because you are in the education sector. I saw a couple of players working around maybe the immersive tech, right? Because they have tried, for online education they have tried immersive tech around, maybe I'll say AR, VR, XR, those kind of stuff in the immersive technology. So what are your thoughts about this? Second would be, what are your views upon the blockchain, because it has been a buzzword in the market. And third would be the rule, the leader of the 2023 and the 2024, like the generative AI forefront. How do you see this, and
Agree.
what do you think,
Yeah.
apart from the maybe the buzz that has been created in these 1.5 years, what are the practical applications of generative AI do you think the fintech industry or ecosystem has?
Okay. So I'll take it from the immersive one. I think immersive technology we have been hearing from the very beginning, and I think it's a good add-on in terms of a lot of when we go with AR and VR. Specifically when it comes to giving some educations, specifically when you are doing some online educations or imparting educations, so it gives you better. I think recently Flipkart also tried to give you some AR visions on their product also to get a more better feels and all. So definitely there are fits into the markets, and it's somewhere the use cases are there, which is very useful, and I think it will evolve as it go. But primarily more from I see still AR and VR whenever we need to have more exploratory stuff required at any interactions. Then we go and deep dive, like when you are parting education, specifically biology or physics or
Right.
anything, then it's a good stuff to have it, like, because just 2D structure will not give you a lot of things.
Absolutely.
Um, so definitely it has a lot of scope. I know a couple of my friends who have actually started in this space and they are doing pretty well, specifically in education ecosystem itself. So it's
Right.
a good add-on in terms of a technology, and I think it will keep on evolving as well. Okay,
Right.
with virtual reality in the picture, I think Facebook, we all know, has taken a big bet. We all are still waiting what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But yes, I think there's a lot of things still we are all waiting to see. It's a very early stage, I think, and has definitely a
In
lot of
India.
potential. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, not in
Okay.
India. Specific.
Yeah, I don't have a time. Otherwise, I would have given you more details about it, even from different perspective, mostly from remote sensing and other perspective as well. But let's park at that. Coming to Bitcoin or like blockchain or like we have been like hearing like I think I'm hearing since my college days itself. It was something with when it was all started around that 2010, 11. I still remember. Um, so it was definitely a great technology, but at the same time, we all know that this is not an easy technology that can be implemented just like what we are
Right.
using. It requires huge
Absolutely.
infrastructure, it requires huge computations and all those things. But there are players and there are things that is still running on and that, and we all know that, like, there are a lot of good stuff, not just from the cryptocurrency, which actually is there are a lot of good use cases, like we all know smart contracts and all, which can be the a good fit, and I think is a very important aspect going further for any sort of an legal transactions that we do on the platform. uh,
Right.
but definitely it is yet to see. I think as we will go there, more innovations will come in the picture. But this is one of the technology which comes up and then goes down and then comes up go down, so it is still looking, I think, for somewhere in the future when we have a very great computations, or there are some new innovations which are coming in this field. I think uh, uh, which will basically uh, I just forgot that name. Anyway, so it is something that they are trying to build their own network around Bitcoin. So similar, like we have our www, like triple W network. We need to
Okay.
build some sort of a network in that sort of an ecosystem, which
Okay.
becomes which becomes kind of ubiquitous, or like kind of accessible to all the people. Right now, like for the to implement any blockchain technology, you need to have proper infrastructure set, which has to be governed by someone. Ledgers
Right.
needs to be properly maintained and all. Some of the banks, like if I've heard this. I've never validated much, but we know that even our UPI behind the scene also uses this technology,
Yeah. Even
somewhere
ONDC uses
underneath.
in network, right?
Yeah, Coindesk, though I know, but apart from this, like our government also, like if you check, our government has also given this RBI ka coin as well, which is to
Right.
be used in the kind of transaction. So these are some of the things which is definitely showing the potential which we are going and moving towards. But in for the general mass, this technology, I think, will still we have to wait. I think with the new innovations, with the more, I think I won't say that we don't have better computational powers and all, but I think there are some more computational. I don't know if quantum computing can possibly provide that level of things and all. Uh, we might have very general available solutions, or a general available platform where we all can able to execute what you call contracts, or like exchange the chains very easily and in a very least cost, because it's very
Mm.
costly right now. The technology itself is very costly, that it's very hard for anyone to adopt right now.
Right.
Coming to generative AI, I think all the world is now talking just about generative AI. I think we all are somewhere now, whether knowingly or unknowingly, dealing with the generative AI, like with
Right.
chat GPT coming in picture, or like, so I know in my team itself, like whenever I need to ask any question, people say, "Why can't we just chat GPT to even find a solution?" And people have started, but I still say on that front that yes, I have also used it. I actually, when I actually gave a very big hands-on on this technology to build some of the stuff. Okay, mostly using generative AI, I was trying to build something, a generative AI, uh, like model from the scratch. Okay, so
Okay.
coming to that, hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so coming to that, definitely generative AI is a good thing, but on top of that, there has to be some sort of an still. We need to have some mental model to be applied on the information that we get out of generative AI. There are definitely some practical applications out there, specifically images and videos and all those things, which is coming up. But coming to use cases like replacing an expertise using generative AI, like still I would say that very basic things we can do. We, even for us also, we tried implementing one of the, for our customer support systems, we actually build a generative AI based chat
Okay.
systems by learning from us our system, so that most of the general queries and questions can be easily answered. We got, like, I think I won't say that we got like 60-70% problems were getting solved, but still we are figuring it out, some of the like technicalities into it, like to sort it out. So definitely it's a very early stage, I would say, still in the generative AI space. And we just need to find our different use cases, uh, and we can start doing experiments to learn from this. Coming to and I think we all are doing that, like and it's an exciting space, I would say. And coming to very specifically to financial things, so one of the things that possibly we are also thinking around it, like right now not have done. So if you know, risk and fraud is one of the very important factor that we have. that any financial institution needs to meet with risk and frauds. So we've been talking about this, like, how can we, if there is a way that we can get those data models, and we can put those data, and on top of this generative thing, we can build some sort of a model, like whenever we feed any data on top of this, or the data is flowing on that interval, we can get some sort of an understanding whether the potential customer is fraud or not, or the behavior by collecting some data. Those kind of things also can be done, but I think this will be very early to say on anything on that, because it will possibly have an overkill. We already have ML models and all, but this is one of the area that I can also think that we can actually start. We can actually think about generative AI from the in terms of a risk and fraud, and in terms of, I would say, uh, generative AI in financial. It can also be very useful, possibly in terms of understanding contracts and all, or possibly understanding any compliance angle and breaches. So if we can let any of the model understands very well the compliance, the guidelines or regulations, and so that any, and then we feed those data points into it to detect or identify where the compliance breach is there, or is there anything that needs to be done as a part of compliance check, more of an audit perspective. That can also be one of the field that I think we can utilize from the generative AI.
And now, as we are reaching to the end of this podcast, I just wanted to know your observations around maybe the changing dynamics of this tech industry, right? Because the mentality, the time span of a human interaction with, especially with the smartphones, with the Instagram and everything, right? That time span has been very limited now. We just want everything in just maybe 30 seconds, 60 seconds. That people even don't want to opt maybe some kind of online courses or something like this. You do not want to spend it, a decent time on it. And same goes with the maybe I'm getting this feeling, same going with the offline things as well. People are not much very induced in it, but I just want to know what could be the possible sector to make people much more engaged in with the courses in the education system. And how do you see this? What are your observations about this?
See, I think I've been actually talking to a few of the people around this, like very. So it goes from, I would say, I've been seeing, like, a lot of, earlier it was that we used to read a lot of blogs, and before that
Right.
it was a lot of books. Then we shifted to blogs. Then we shifted to basically something like videos. Okay, and majority of the current scenario that we have been seeing, like everywhere, like even Instagram or YouTube, we all know the short videos or short clips have been coming, and but still, I would say that uh, I think still video is going to be one of the major way of learning as we are going. But somewhere with more clarity, and I would say more assistance that we can bring um, from the coming technologies, like for example generative AIs and all. If we can bring them on top of, like for example, I'll give you one example. Say for example, if I'm learning about a code, okay, and someone is saying about it, and then if I can get some sort of an assistant around it, okay, make it more interactive in the nature that on the fly I can get a sample code, or I can get a sample snippet that I can run. Possibly most of the time what happens is we read about things and we lose the interest, because the presenter is saying something and we could not able to execute well. Okay. So
Right.
somehow, if we can get it more interactive, like as in what is presented, I can also experience that, and I can also do that experiments, because now it's not more about learning the core, but more about executing things as you learn. So I
Okay.
think I've also been seeing like right now that tendency is not about just learning the code. The tendency is more about how can I get this stuff
Done.
executed and see and then utilize it in my product, or how can I use this as a solutions to solve some problem. So and I don't want to get an understanding how internally it is working. For example, generative AI. Okay, I don't want to understand how the chat GPT works, but can I deploy my chat to solve this problem?
Right.
So the fact of the learning right now is being not just shifted from the core, and I think that's how the things has been shifted. The things has been shifted from book to blog to videos to now into the short videos, because I just want to understand, okay, how can I use my chat GPT to generate give me some hints on the stock market patterns possibly, okay, to predict something. So something like more practical in nature, more useful, because I think we have gone into a lot of abstractions in terms of solutions and technologies, and now it's more of an age of applying those abstractions to solve real time problems. And that is how I think the content should also be divided into those kind of a segments, where we have a content and interest which is purely based on applying these things and practically seeing these things happening. And there has to be a content which, like, people like me who was always interested in understanding the core rather than how it is, how can I use it. Okay. So both the approach I think will be required, but definitely, I think somewhere with that, we are also losing that focus of how the internal and core part works. So somewhere that focus should also be there. But as a part of interest that you mentioned, that I think it will be good that we should have the education uh, or the content being divided, where we can utilize and show that how can we leverage this power to build something. And
Right.
then, and during that session itself, if we can show something that, okay, you can start seeing how it realizes.
Right.
Okay, it should not
So,
go very so I think that way it will be more interactive in nature, because we all know,
and
we are all very eager to see the result these days rather than
yes.
waiting for something. I still remember I used to compile a code which takes like 15 minutes. Like, if you really give some people 15 minutes, they'll simply throw your laptop away and ask like, I need a good laptop. So that kind of a thing, I would say, like, mostly I don't know, I was very raw in my thought process at this point, but I think this is what I think right now.
No, no, I 100% agree with your thoughts, and this is what I've been saying in couple of, all the places that I go, like from the education perspective, like people try to learn couple of things, everything, right? So I'll say learn what is required, not what is present, right? There are a lot of things that are present, you
Yes,
can't learn everything, so learn what is required.
agreed.
Just go ahead. Yeah. So, and thank you, sir, for this joining for this amazing podcast. It was lovely listening to your insights about the fintech industry and the atrocities that goes in beyond in this education sector. And yeah, would love to collaborate for sure in future for more such initiatives. And happy to have you.
Sure, sure.
It's my pleasure to host you, sir.
Sure. Same here. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you everyone for listening to this podcast. We are coming up with lots of initiatives. See you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.